They say nothing lasts forever. I think they're wrong. Because the legacy of The Undertaker will live on eternally. So now I give you the dead man, the phenom. Ladies and gentlemen, The Undertaker.
Welcome, everybody, to the Survivor Series post-show. My name is Wai Ting, and I am joined here by a couple of our longtime friends here at Post Wrestling. Of course, for people who might not have been paying attention over the past week, John Pollock is taking a break right now because he has a brand new baby at home. Evie Flora Pollock is resting at home. The entire family, I'm sure, watching Survivor Series, bidding farewell to The Undertaker. So in John's place, we brought out Mike Murray. Mike Murray, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Congratulations to John if he's going to listen to this, because I haven't spoken to him since the big announcement.
And joining Mike Murray, another longtime friend of the show and a longtime friend of Mike Murray's as well. W.H. Park, live from Toronto this time. What's going on, W.H.?
Not much, Way. I can't believe I'm still awake after watching that show. But, by the way, I should say congratulations to John and his family. I did actually speak to him privately, like on the DMs. He seems he's doing fine, but maybe just a little busy. But congratulations to him and his family. And I'm very happy to be on here with you and Mike.
Well, yeah, I wonder how happy you're going to be for the rest of the show, because this one is really unusual. First of all, let me just say how this came together. Mike, you actually, you're really nice and volunteering to help out, knowing that John was going to take some time off. And, I know you keep up, at least, Mike, with WWE from time to time anyway.
Yep.
Now, WH, I can't really say the same for you. What has been your main roster consumption since January when we last spoke to you about it?
Listening to Rewind to Raw and Rewind to SmackDown, and that's about it. Otherwise, I do not watch WWE main roster because I think it's absolute fucking shit.
Well, I'd be really curious to know your take for this one, because I think there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, might feel the same way as you. So, obviously I watch it all in depth pretty much every single week, more in depth than probably, 99% of the population. Mike, maybe a little bit more casual. WH, completely maybe unaware, other than maybe hearing the conversations online. So we're going to have slightly three different takes about this show. Going into this show, how much perhaps of the lead up programming have either of you paid attention to? Mike?
I was on sabbatical from Vince. I thought Vince and I weren't working out very well. It wasn't me, it was him. So when John and you guys asked me to fill in, I'm like, you know what? For you guys, I'm going to break my sabbatical. I'm going to come in. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to know what's going on. I've been keeping tabs on it. As any wrestling fan, even when you are not watching, you have an idea of what's going on in a lot of the different companies. So I was prepared. It was Survivor Series, right? Which I think is really, traditionally been, especially the last, let's say 20 years, like one of the weakest of the big four.
Yeah, it's certainly a pillar show. WH, I trust that you're going into this completely cold.
Yeah, I kind of thought, why not? I haven't been keeping up since maybe Hell in the Cell. I watched that pay-per-view. I kind of liked it for the most part, but I thought, you know what? It'll be fun. Go in this without knowing anything about any of the storylines, any of the matches going in. I kind of had an idea of some of the main matches, it's all champions versus champions and things like that. But otherwise, I had no idea about the Lana storyline. I had no idea about what's going on with the fucking Mysterio family and the fucking Dawson's Creek bullshit there, whatever. So it was illuminating, some of the stuff that I got to see on WWE Survivor Series.
So I suppose for you, maybe, I don't know, what was the biggest draw for this show if you were simply watching it as a fan?
In what way? What would make me not want to watch anymore?
No. What would make you want to watch it? Was there anything that would have made you? decide to do that?
Honestly, I do actually like the women's division. I do think like the Bayley Sasha stuff in the last month or so has been really good. I think the best thing I saw tonight was the Asuka versus Sasha match, and I kind of like some of the stories that were happening in the women's Survivor Series match a lot more than the men's Survivor Series match. I thought that was fucking dull. Like it was like watching paint dry almost, and like all these goofy guys.
Okay, let's save it. Let's save the vitriol for the actual review. Mike, were you excited about this like Undertaker thing? You know, was that any sort of hook for you?
I mean, I was wanting to see what was going to happen. I'm not sure I believe any of it. And then at the end, I was kind of, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. I mean, I was interested in the Drew versus Roman match going into it. I'd like to see how they were going to pull it off. And again, we'll get to that as well.
So let's jump right into it right now. People have been waiting in the chat room long enough. We start off here on the kickoff. Did you guys watch the kickoff? And it's okay if you didn't. Okay.
I watched the tail end of the Battle Royal.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's just go through some of the highlights of the kickoff itself. We have Kayla in the backstage area with Paul Heyman. Kayla wants to know if Heyman wants to retract an earlier statement he made that Drew McIntyre is merely a title holder and not a real champion like Roman. Heyman wants to double down on the statement. He says Roman is the champion. Drew is the guy who only holds the title when people want to take a photo, and Roman is too busy. He's a babysitter for the belt, while Roman makes the championship. You see Bianca Belair and Natalya on the panel. Bianca says Natalya calls herself the boat. And what's the most famous boat that she knows? The Titanic, Natalya says. Bianca says, exactly. Natty says, well, the Titanic made lots of money. So, do you know what the boat stands for, WH?
No, but please enlighten me.
The best of all time.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Sami Zayn shows up. He's about to go off on the U.S. He's been doing some great work, I have to say, on Twitter. Basically kind of like running this feud entirely by himself against Bobby Lashley, really just using it as an excuse to criticize the United States because, of course, he is the Intercontinental Champion about to face the U.S. Champion tonight. He's about to go off on the U.S. here at this panel, but JBL, of course, is there. And JBL asks, do you have something against the U.S.? Sammy preferred not to get into it because they had to rush to get to a commercial break. But boy, would I've loved a political debate between JBL and Sami Zayn on this kickoff. R-Truth is in the back. He's made his own tribute to the 30th anniversary of the superstar that we're celebrating tonight. And then we see a video tribute to the Gobbledy Gooker, who made his debut 30 years ago on Survivor Series. He brings the Gobbledy Gooker out. As Akira Tozawa shows up, there's a big scuffle, and the Gobbledy Gooker ends up being the 24/7 champion on the kickoff here. No, any analysis about our first match? No,
I laughed. It was complete fucking stupidity. I mean, sure, Mike laughed. Mike laughs at a lot of things, just so people know that. But you know,
I've gotten soft in my old age. I thought it was funny. Okay, the guy bringing back the gobbledygooker. It was
I think
worth
your
watching
mustache is funny, but you know, I told you that yesterday.
Alrighty. Our dual brand battle royal consisted of Murphy, Rey Mysterio, Dominic, Miz, Morrison, Ricochet, Cedric, Apollo, Ziggler, Elias, Kalisto, Cedric, Shinsuke Nakamura, Humberto Carrillo, Robert Roode, Shelton Benjamin, Angel Garza, Jeff Hardy, and Chad Gable. Throughout the match, there's a big spotlight put on Dominic here. He first eliminates John Morrison, then he eliminates Dolph Ziggler, and one by one, everybody is gone. Our final four consists of Miz, Jeff Hardy, Chad Gable, and Dominic, as Gable eliminates Hardy. Miz then delivers the yes kicks to Dominic. He's about to throw him over, but Dominic manages to escape. So at this point, Miz manages to end up lying on the apron. He rolls back in, but Dominic meets him with a baseball slide that sends him out. Dominic ends up eliminating Gable after a 619. Dominic thinks he's won. He starts celebrating, but the bell doesn't sound. But out comes The Miz from behind. And what had happened was, because The Miz was on the apron and he rolled back into the ring before being baseball slid outside by Dominic, he technically recovered before his under the bottom rope ejection. So Miz was still very much in play, and he eliminates Dominic for the win in about 12 minutes. Mike, what'd you think of the match?
It was pretty weak. I mean, there's a lot of people in this match, that could be doing a lot better stuff, I think, that are just getting wasted. The big spotlight on Dominic was, my daughter and I were watching it, and she was like, I think he's going to win. I think Mysterio's kid's going to win. I mean, Ray was out in the first 2 minutes maybe of this match. It was crazy. They had all these guys. It was, what'd you say, 12 minutes altogether? Mm-hmm. Dominic 619 it's not good. It is not good at all.
WH?
Well, let me just say, I want to express my elation when I turned this on and Shorty G was gone and Chad Gable was back in a singlet. I was so happy to see that. And then I watched the rest of this Battle Royal and I had to ask myself, why is The Miz the only person in this Battle Royal? As far as I could tell, by the point I joined in, he's wearing a t-shirt. He's wearing a Raw t-shirt. And I thought, that's a rhetorical question because I know the answer is because he's a fucking geek. He's a fucking company man nerd. So he's going to wear that fucking t-shirt. The other thing I wanted to ask you as, Dominic Mysterio, his gear's he's got his initials, DM, but it's in the font of Depeche Mode. And I want to know if Dominic Mysterio is a Depeche Mode fan, you should ask your brother to take a look at that font because I know your brother's a big Depeche Mode fan.
Huge.
And the thing is this guy's costume, he looks like he's wearing a third-rate fucking Halloween costume for the first X-Men movie, but he bought it from fucking Don Quixote down in Shibuya in Tokyo. And what is with this kid's running? He looks like he's got fucking lead in his feet. Seriously, the way and I thought, okay, it's just this one time he ran the ropes and he's he looks like he's running in place with lead. But no, every fucking time he's running and he looks like he's standing still, but he's actually moving. It's unbelievable. It's like he's breaking the laws of physics. Way is incredible.
All observations that I didn't really come to mind when I was watching the match. I never paid attention to the man's running. What do you mean?
No, I agree totally. That's the first thing. Yeah, he's really stiff, and it's like he's trying to count his steps of how long it's going to take him to get from place to place.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, maybe is that some sort of beginner's thing, that you think might be?
It's really obvious. With the 619, that's what really stood out for me is because he went for it once, he didn't get it, and then he tried it again. It's like he's in his head counting before he goes for it, how long it's supposed to take him to get there.
Wait, I guarantee you, next time you watch this kid wrestle, he's running the ropes. You're not going to be able to unsee the fucking lead in his feet. Okay.
Lead in his feet in the Depeche Mode font. Okay, I'll be sure to look for it. What did you guys think about the Miz being given this one?
Who cares?
Not a surprise.
It's a fucking kickoff show with a fucking battle royal with a bunch of dorks in it, and it's all right, he wins. Who cares? It's the Miz. Well, what does it mean?
Here's the thing, okay? What is it? John Cena on Friday suggested that this would have been a good spot for somebody like Lars Sullivan to really get some good shine, being a monster to defeat everybody. I would have even said the same thing about Dominic Mysterio coming out of this, with something to brag about. I think they gave it to the Miz to perhaps just remind you that the guy is still somewhat in play for tonight because he holds the Money in the Bank briefcase. But I don't know if that was honestly, if you needed something like this to do that. I don't know if you maximize the value of even a small battle royal like this on the Miz.
I agree. I mean, him winning means nothing. There wasn't a payoff at the end of the show. Somebody else could have got more out of it, I think, than The Miz.
Baron Corbin is with Kevin Owens in the back. Corbin's trying to convince Owens to take his lead tonight. Owens says no. Billie Kay comes out. He offers Baron Corbin her headshot and resume, citing her psychology studies at university, and Baron Corbin doesn't care. I would try to make sense of this gimmick for both of you guys. I cannot do that. I can't imagine what was going through either of your heads seeing Billie Kay. Any thoughts on this at all?
No, I missed it. I was helping somebody brush their teeth, which was probably a better 2 minutes spent.
It was probably brushing someone's teeth is probably more interesting than what I saw. It's just okay, she's got her resume. Sounds like me looking for a job recently, but I'd have to, send out resumes to good old Mike here. He just said, "Hey, it's WH."
Oh yeah, we have not updated people yet. You guys are colleagues now.
Well, kind of, yeah. I say he's more like a slave driver, and I'm like the poor recipient of his arduous task mastering.
Mike, any response?
Oh, yeah. I got nothing for him. In fact, I got no work for him next week either, so it's cool.
Convenient. We're in lockdown. How did that happen?
I'd love to know, like, just the interactions that you two might have at Mike's bookstore.
I try and stay away from him. I just send him to the second floor.
It's true. It's wonderful. I love the second floor. I don't deal with all the crazy people on the first floor.
We go to the start of the pay-per-view itself with a men's Survivor Series match. And on Team Raw, we've got AJ Styles, Riddle, Strowman, Keith Lee, Sheamus take it on Team SmackDown, consisting of Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Seth Rollins, and Otis. Keith Lee walks out to his new music, which I later learned is sort of a remix of his old theme from The Independents called Ground Zero. What did you think of the song? I mean, I don't even know if you guys would have that much of a basis of comparison, but did you pay attention even to this new music?
I wasn't sure if this was the new music that everyone was complaining about from like 2 months ago.
No.
Or this was the new theme, right?
Yeah.
So, because I didn't find it that bad. I mean, it's not as good as I think the NXT theme, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agreed. Not as good as the CFO song, but I mean, infinitely better than the generic song he was using.
Okay.
Sorry, WH, of course. Your thoughts?
No, I just thought, it's like a song. I don't know. I didn't think it was anything special. Sorry.
Oh, man. AJ Styles proclaims himself the captain of the team, but he's cut off by Riddle, who walks out, of course. On commentary for the night, we have Cole, Graves, Joe, and then they would switch off, one by one with the various members of the SmackDown team with, Byron and Tom Phillips. They jump in later as well. So we start off with the pairing of AJ and Jey Uso. Then we have Riddle and Otis. Owens is in there with Riddle for the first time. And then he starts immediately targeting Matt Riddle's bare feet. As Rollins squares off with Sheamus after he first tags in, Rollins turns to his corner and says, "For the greater good." Rollins gets to his knees, tells Sheamus, "Do your part," and then eats a brogue kick before allowing himself to be pinned. And the only person whose analysis I really want for this, of course, is WH Park. What was going through your head when you watched this?
What, with Seth, doing the job for Sheamus there?
Yes.
Well, I guess it's part of his new SmackDown gimmick of the greater good. I have no idea what that means. He's got a nice jacket that he wears to the ring, though. I do like that leather jacket. But I have a question for you, Wai. Like, at the beginning, I think it was Michael Cole, he said, the award-winning, critically acclaimed ThunderDome. And I want to know, what fucking award did the ThunderDome win?
Oh, it's got to be one of those technological marketing things like that. I don't know, they talk about in marketing magazines or something like that.
And which critic has acclaimed this ThunderDome? I want to know. Was it you? Was it John? Was it Dave Meltzer? Was it Wade Keller? I want to know. It's probably Benno.
I'll tell you exactly what they won. They won the Virtual Fan Experience of the Year award at the 2020 Sportel Awards. So
who else was up for it? What were the nominees?
Virtual fan experiences. God, I don't know, man. Some theme park thing.
So I had Nora was watching the show with me. My youngest daughter's 7. Okay, so at the beginning, she was helping me with my notes. I've got AJ is a jerk from Nora, and Rollins is a butthead. He only cares about himself.
What are you talking about? He took a pinfall here, ate a brogue.
That was before. I'm my Nora's analysis of a character is way off mark. Off mark, I think. Well, obviously.
So I guess did she have a change of heart when she saw Rollins do this?
No. I also have I don't know if you saw a note. I also have a note she wrote in my thing. It says, poop AJ Styles as well. That would be later on. So.
I agree. So as the rest of Team SmackDown regroups on the floor, Braun Strowman charges and knocks them all down. Keith Lee and Otis face off as the two heavies of the team. You have some repeated shoulder blocks from Lee, but Otis doesn't go down. They both attempt to pick the other up for big moves, but they each escape. At this point, Kevin Owens comes in. He hits 3 stunners on all the members of Team Raw, but AJ immediately responds with a phenomenal forearm to eliminate him, giving Team Raw a 5-3 advantage. Corbin is in next. Pele from AJ, then a floating bro from Riddle eliminates Corbin. Team Raw is now up 5-2. We get a bro kick from Sheamus to Jey Uso for 2. Hot tag to Otis, who lays everybody else out, putting him face to face with Braun. Otis manages to lift and slam Braun and then attacks him with the Caterpillar, but then a distraction from Riddle allows Braun to power slam him for the elimination. So at this point, Jey Uso is the only member of Team SmackDown alive. It's 5-on-1. Jey is about to splash AJ, but Jordan pulls him to the side. Jey is about to splash AJ again, but this time Lee tags himself in, catches Jey mid-air, lifting him up into a spirit bomb to pin Jey Uso at 19:25. A clean sweep for Team Raw, 5-0. What'd you think of the match, Mike?
It was fine. I mean, it was what it was. Going into it, I don't think people expected a lot. I thought they had a chance to do some good stuff maybe with Otis and Keith Lee. That didn't really come through. And it sure did make SmackDown look great, that's for sure.
WH.
Well, I like the end with like Jey going like the distance and then getting pinned by Keith Lee. That was a very impressive spear bomb that he turned it into. But I have a lot of takes on this Otis guy. So he's the blue collar superstar, correct? And his ring entrance gear is like he's a trucker. Is he a trucker now? That's my question.
We don't exactly know what profession, what blue collar profession I think he currently has or had. But the idea is to convey, some sort of generic, like, he might be a construction worker, it might be a trucker.
So at some point he starts gesticulating like his hips, and I just thought this is the grossest thing I've seen in a long time, and I just wanted my TV to stop because it was gross. And Otis is just baffles me because he's not very good. He does the caterpillar, which is stupid. He looks like the guy down in Florida who's like going to every fucking bar without wearing a mask because he doesn't believe in COVID, which is probably like half his coworkers in the fucking WWE anyways. But I cannot get behind why. I think it's a rib. I think this whole Otis push and him being on this show is a rib against me. I think Vince McMahon was like, I hear that WH guy is going to be on this review show, and I'm going to put Otis front and center in this match, and I'm just going to torment him with this disgusting human being who like I just can't stand. Like he doesn't belong in wrestling. Anyways, that's it.
His push is actually, I would say, like greatly diminished since like earlier this year when he won like Money in the Bank. He was really kind of front and center in a lot of major storylines on Raw, and I certainly understand maybe some of those criticisms that you just laid out, but the man is a character that connects with a lot of people. I mean, namely Vince McMahon, I would say. Not so much in a main event role, which is, I think, where they kind of went too far for everybody when he actually held the Money in the Bank briefcase. In this, you could definitely even argue that like having him here be the second to last person might have been too big of a push for him. But in the end, it almost doesn't really matter. Like, in fact, this whole match only seemed to serve as like a way to set Jey Uso up to face ramifications for Roman Reigns later on, which I think obviously very disappointing for the rest of Team SmackDown. And Team Raw, their story going into this was that they couldn't get along, and yet here they end the match completely undefeated and celebrating after getting at being at odds with each other all month. So we shall see what the follow up is there. But yeah, for the rest of these guys on Team SmackDown, definitely no real ramifications at all. In fact, I trust that they will just use it to end up feuding with one another. There's also a possibility that this might have just been Seth Rollins' write-off. He's been on his way out, so we shall see if he returns. New Day take on the Street Profits after this. The New Day arrive with Big E, and John Cena and I had talked about this on Friday, where I think we had both, discussed like whether or not he would show up because this was a dual-branded show. I was personally a little bit disappointed that they had them all come out together because I think a big reunion at a more, important point in Big E's career would have meant a little bit more. Well, when you see the reason why they would have come out here, you maybe understand why, because they come out wearing custom Gears of War, like battle suits to promote the three of them being in the video game. So perhaps what did you think, WH, of these outfits?
Well, without knowing the context that they're in this video game, the new Gears of War, I thought, wow, they look like nerds. And, that's what they are. New Day are a bunch of nerds, right? That's their whole gimmick with the up, down, down gimmick and the pancakes and all that shit. It's fine with knowing the context that they're promoting a video game. Sure, it looks fine. But like, the trombone as like the chainsaw, machine gun thing that, that they use in Gears of War. Yeah, it's fine. Sure. Why not?
Backstage, Dawkins beatboxes The Undertaker's theme as he and Montez Ford launch into a big promo about The Undertaker. They're talking about the people he's beaten, like Shawn Michaels, Diesel, Taker, Kane, or Triple H and Kane. They say that they're here to build their own legacy by beating the New Day, and they're not here to be passed the torch. They're here to take it. Any thoughts on the promo, Mike?
I thought it was good. I thought it was entertaining. I mean, we're already here. We're waiting for the match, so I'm not sure what the point of having a promo is. We've already paid for the show. We know what's going to happen. But we did get the beatboxing skills. So plus and minus.
Totally agree with you. I thought it was very entertaining, but I thought, in fact, it went a little bit long, for a pay-per-view and probably kind of unnecessary, or would have been better served on the go-home show.
Sure.
So we get into the match. Kofi tags in with Montez Ford, which the announcers kind of promote as this sort of big dream pairing of two incredibly high jumping guys. Kofi delivers a big dive onto Ford on the outside as Woods lays Dawkins out, and this leads to the New Day gloating as Kofi lays on the apron, sipping from a red cup before kicking it away. So they're working a little bit more heelish in this match. They're working over Ford's midsection. We get a hot tag to Dawkins, who hits this really cool looking double underhook twisting suplex to Woods. Double team moves from both teams leads to a few near falls. We get the anointment from Dawkins, and then from the heavens from Ford from the Profits. But Ford's midsection is injured, so he can't immediately go for the pin. So Kofi kicks out at 2. SOS from Kofi is broken up. Ford hits his own Trouble in Paradise onto Kofi. Then a gutbuster from Woods for 2, and finally a combination blockbuster electric chair drop from the Profits leads to the Profits winning at 13:40, pinning Xavier Woods. What'd you think of the match, WH?
Yeah, I like this match, actually. I really like the way the New Day worked it in terms of being kind of like you're saying, the more heelish team, because they're the veterans. So I like the idea of especially Xavier Woods. I thought he did a really good job of cutting off the ring and just working a classic Southern style tag match and just getting the heat on Montez Ford, who I love. I love that guy. He's so charismatic and he's so talented, so athletic. So I think there's a lot of upside to this guy, and hopefully they don't ruin him like they do so many other people. But I thought this is the second match in, and I thought this is okay. It's going to make up for that men's tag Survivor Series match, and so okay, I can get into this show if most of the rest of the show is like this.
Mike.
I thought it was fine. I like the way that the New Day started it out. Pulling them in, be a little bit more heelish, the sort of veteran team against the newer team. And then, the right guys probably went over at the end, right? Give them a little bit of a shine from the older team, the veteran team. It was fine. They did the respect stuff at the end. It was a decent match.
I enjoyed the match. Yeah, not maybe necessarily a match that is going to be talked about all that much, but I think it served its purpose of, maybe not necessarily passing the torch, but building, I would say, a good rivalry. The New Day aren't necessarily a team that is on their way out, not at all. I think they still have several years left in them. So it's not like these veterans that kind of won't be heard from again. This to me just seems like maybe the start of a longer rivalry at some point when these two teams might be on the same brand, for instance. So they shake hands, they hug afterwards, and everybody's happy. Sami Zayn takes on Bobby Lashley up next, and all 3 members of the Hurt Business surround the ring, joining Bobby Lashley. Lashley dominates Sami. Sami continually wants to leave the match, but the rest of the Hurt Business prevent him from doing so. Lashley hits a delayed vertical suplex to Sami Zayn, and as Sami tries to retreat to the ropes, he begins complaining to the referee about vertigo, which I don't know if this would have clicked with either of you, but this was a callback to their first feud when Sami complained about suffering vertigo as a result of a delayed vertical suplex, which led to him basically kind of cowering and not entering a match in Saudi Arabia. He did not show up for that match because he complained about vertigo. So kind of amusing here.
It's glad they explained it to us so we knew what they were talking about.
Sami attempts to, this time it's of course again a ruse, and Sami tries to take advantage, but Lashley quickly stops it, regaining control. Sami finally gets the advantage by sending Lashley into the post. He tries to remove a turnbuckle pad, but Shelton stops him. Sami again attempts to retreat, but he falls over MVP's shoe, and then immediately tries to complain about MVP interfering to try to get himself DQ'd, or to try to get himself a win through DQ. The referee does not listen to him, so MVP throws Sami back into the ring, right into the hurt lock from Lashley for the win at 7 minutes, 50 seconds. It was a total destruction of Sami Zayn, though, of course, that is the character. He gets destroyed and he complains about it. And his out at the end of this match is that he is complaining that he was tripped by MVP intentionally and that he is deserving of a DQ victory. What do you think of the match, Mike?
I think it was fine for what it was. That character... This sort of kind of match we've seen for years in WWF and WWE. It was kind of odd seeing, sort of a 4-on-1 of faces sort of beating down on like the cowardly heel. But
even though I'm
going to give it a thumb.
Even though like the Hurt Business themselves are typically heels, I think they definitely still are heels on Raw. But in this match, Sami was definitely more of the heel, although they were both heels. What did you think, WH?
Yeah, I didn't like this match very much. I thought it was actually incredibly dull because I don't think Bobby Lashley has very good chemistry with Sami Zayn, and vice versa.
Was this a match where they could have even displayed it, though? I mean, it was really just a one-sided destruction, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I don't see what the point is with Sami Zayn, because I think that guy is so super talented, and he's just wasted in this kind of a role. Like, I don't mind if he was like him being a heel or anything like that, or even like the cowardly heel. But I do think the way it's done is to purposely make him look bad, because I really feel like my theory is that they really don't like him in the WWE, and they just keep him around so he doesn't go to AEW, because he'd get a contract. Like as soon as he leaves the WWE, he's going to go to AEW. But
I disagree. I think Vince loves the guy. I think he gets a real kick out of it. Maybe, yeah, sure. Maybe some of it is because he loves to see him like somewhat get embarrassed. But I think he if he didn't entertain Vince McMahon, I don't think he'd be holding a title. Like, but in a situation like this, I'll tell you. Like, I don't know if like you said you saw, what is it, the last pay-per-view, right? Did you see the ladder match that he was involved in?
No,
he was in a ladder match with AJ and Jeff Hardy, and he was like, he had an incredibly clever spot in it where he chained, handcuffed Jeff Hardy's earring to the ladder, and somehow won the match via like those sort of shenanigans. And that to me is like this character of Sami Zayn at his best. He's incredibly cowardly. He's a conspiracy theorist who bullshits a lot. But in the end, he's still smart and wise. And you got none of that in this match, unfortunately. It was just kind of him getting destroyed.
And I got to say, this U.S. title belt, this new design is god-awful gaudy. And it's like, it boggles my mind because, like, I think the new IC title looks actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. And the same company that has this as one of their championship belts has this monstrosity of, like, like, Trumpism. That's what that belt's like. It's like that's like a MAGA belt, but it's not. Thankfully, it's not worn by a MAGA. I hope Bobby Lashley's not a MAGA. But anyways,
we don't know.
Anyways, yeah. But anyways, it's a god awful ugly belt, and maybe the ugliest belt in that company.
Okay, do you agree, Mike?
No, the 24/7's worse. No,
that's not a real belt.
Jay and Jimmy Uso are standing outside Roman Reigns' office. Roman says he doesn't care if it was a one-on-one. Jay has no excuse for losing. He tells Jimmy to leave and then tells Jay that he lost because his team doesn't respect him. And if they don't respect him, then they don't respect their family. And if they don't respect their family, then he doesn't have a place at the table. He says he doesn't have time for losers and tells Jay to get out of here. Asuka versus Sasha Banks. There's some nice chain wrestling to start from these two early on, with Sasha rolling into arm bars, to short arm scissors, to the bank statement. Sasha opens the ropes for Asuka, who sends her to the floor with a hip attack, before leading to Asuka opening the ropes for Sasha in return. Asuka takes control with some big kicks. They fight to the floor. Sasha attempts a Meteora from the barricade, but Asuka blocks it with her own codebreaker. Back in the ring, both are very evenly matched with a bunch of near falls. Pace now picks up here, with Banks going for a backstabber to Asuka for 2. She applies the Banks statement, but Asuka reverses it to the Asuka lock. They tangle into the ropes. Codebreaker from Asuka for 2. More near falls. Asuka runs the ropes for a big kick and then a final shot, but Sasha catches her in one final roll-up for the win. 13 minutes, 5 seconds. So Sasha Banks scores her first pinfall on Asuka because if you remember when she won the title from her, it was via countout. WH, you already kind of talked a little bit about the match, but let us know your full thoughts here.
Yeah, I love this match. I thought it was the best thing on the whole show. I'm a big fan of Sasha Banks, and I think her recent run's been really great, and she was awesome, by the way, in The Mandalorian. If you haven't seen her episode, go check it out. It's really good. But like, I think she's just gotten better since she's like in the last little while, especially like the stuff she was doing with Bayley when they were teaming and they were the tag champions, and then from the subsequent breakup to this, and Asuka has just been consistently solid to fucking excellent for years now. And these two have excellent chemistry. And what I was really impressed with is like the submissions and transitions that Sasha was doing, because like everyone knows like Asuka is really good at that stuff anyways. They've always seen it, but like I never thought of like Sasha's really as a submission wrestler beforehand. But I was just like watching her in this match, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's gotten so smooth. You know, she's been like, you know, training with people, probably like Drew Gulak and people like that, and whoever else is like available. Like one thing I respect about her is that she's always willing to learn, and she doesn't just rest on her laurels from before. Like, I got to get better. I want to like learn new things and make my matches more, you know, innovative and fresher than the stuff I was doing the year before. That's the impression I get from Sasha, and I respect that about her.
Mike?
No, I thought this was the best match also of the night, and definitely the best wrestled match. The transitions, you know, you guys have both touched on it, were really good. I think when you have someone like Asuka that can go in so many different directions, maybe compared to some of the other people in the women's roster, you know, that has that such a deep background, you know, Sasha can pull out great stuff, right? I like both these women. I think they're both great.
I thought it was an excellent match. Like, these are two of the arguably like of the best women in the company right now. I think having about as good of a match as I've seen them have together, and WH absolutely right. Like, I think Sasha's really evolved as not just as a character, but as a wrestler over the course of this run that she's returned in. And it's been really exciting to see, you know, because she's just always showing slightly new wrinkles to her game. And I think giving her the win here, absolutely appropriate, because she's just been on fire, like in all aspects of the business right now. So there's no friendly hug after this. Sasha kind of gloats as she walks to the back, leaving Asuka looking very shocked and disappointed. And Graves alludes to what this might mean for Asuka on Monday. So, you know, a different type of story for Asuka, who for the longest time has been very dominant champion, this time suffering a clean loss. So we shall see what that results in for her. The Gobbledy Gooker finds a trail of bird feed, and out from a crate emerges Akira Tozawa, and as well a ninja who ends up counting the pinfall for Akira Tozawa to win the 24/7 championship. And as he celebrates, R-Truth emerges, decks Tozawa with a bag of birdseed, and the ninja ref counts in Japanese just for you, WH, as R-Truth wins the title back. Please have all the time you need to talk about this one.
First of all, as soon as I saw the Gobbledy Gooker, I tweeted out, "This can go fuck off." It is so stupid. Anyways, my theory about this ninja referee is that maybe it's Jiro, Ikemen Kuroshiro, the jacket-wearing goofball that I hate, and that he's now in America, because there was a picture tweeted out of him and like Kurt Stallion hanging out. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's out of Japan. He's in America. He's in the WWE Performance Center. I'll never have to watch his matches ever again. It was like a happy day for me, Way. But that's my theory. That's what I hope his new role is the ninja ref for Akira Tozawa. And then, you know,
you actually thought this was a Japanese person underneath this ninja mask.
I didn't think that way. I'm hoping that.
Gotcha.
There's a difference, but yeah, he counted Ichi-Ni-san. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure that was really difficult to learn for the American person that was under this gimmick. But I don't know. It's just a waste of time, isn't it? I don't know.
Mike, you have the floor.
I've got nothing to add. I mean, it was like watching some bad Roadrunner cartoon that no one got the reference of, I feel, right? Like,
yeah,
it's filler. You know, it gives them a chance to reset, get everybody out of the ring, get the next group ready. I mean, take it for what it is. It's part of the show. It's almost like a commercial break that we don't have, right? So,
our women's Survivor Series match is up next with Team Raw, Lacey Evans, Peyton, Royce, Lana, Shayna, and Nia taking on Team SmackDown, consisting of Bayley, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, and Natalya. Nia and Shayna have convinced the rest of the team to not tag Lana in during the match. And we have Belair and Natalya working together for a double delayed vertical suplex, doing squats on Peyton Royce. We get some huge kicks from Shayna onto Ruby, one catching her right in the head. Nia tags in against Liv, but Lana tags herself in. No mention of Liv and Lana as former lovers, which I don't know if it's even worth mentioning. Lana tags in with her former partner Natalya. And Lana actually is doing pretty well. She's competitive and she scores some near falls. Lana tags herself back out, but Shayna and Nia start yelling at her, telling her to stay in the corner like a child. So Lana is standing on the steps in the corner and she starts crying. And at some point her lipstick got smeared. So it really looks like she's a sad little kid who just like found the cookie jar and is like being punished in the corner here. Everybody is on the floor. Bayley climbs up top with Peyton Royce, and then Peyton hits a big superplex from the corner, sending both of them onto the pile below. Royce brings Bayley back into the ring, and then hits her finish, Deja Vu, eliminating Bayley, which the announcers kind of promote as the biggest elimination, maybe even singular pinfall for Peyton Royce. So Peyton is in the ring with Natalya. She applies a half crab. Natalya then attempts some sort of odd submission or pin attempt with her legs. And then it doesn't work out, so she gives up on it and just locks in the sharpshooter to eliminate Royce. Natalya attempts a sharpshooter to Shayna, but Lacey hits the woman's right and pins her. So Team Raw now has a 3-on-4 advantage. A big top rope Spanish fly from Evans to Belair. Riott Squad break up that pin. The Riott Squad then both team up to try to knock Nia down. And they're not successful at all working alone, but working together allows them to, get the advantage on Nia Jax. Shayna locks in the Kirifuda clutch on Riott, but Riott has Shayna pinned, and the ref misses the cover. And while she's in the clutch, Riott actually passes out. So Shayna pins her for the elimination. Team Raw is up now 4-2. Liv hits a crucifix bomb onto Lacey, but it's a little odd as they delay the announcement, and instead they focus on Shayna and Nia admonishing Lana in the corner. So Liv pins Lacey. Liv is now in with Lana as Nia ends a barrage of strikes from Liv with the Samoan drop. Bianca Belair is now all alone against Shayna, Nia, and Lana. Belair, I thought, just looked amazing here. She did some flips, some kip-ups. She, to me, looked like a video game here against Nia Jax. Baszler locks in the clutch to Belair as Belair struggles and fights to get to her feet. She passes out as she falls into the ropes. Shayna refuses to release the hold, and Shayna is DQ'd. At this point, Nia clears the table and grabs a lifeless Belair. They're both fighting a countout. Belair throws Nia over the barricade. Belair is trying to make it back into the ring in time, but she doesn't. So both her and Nia Jax get counted out, and the sole survivor of the match is Lana, who wins it for Team Raw. 23 minutes, 20 seconds. You know, we all wondered what the big Lana spot would be in this match, and this ended up being it. Standing on the corner, being the sole survivor. What did you think of the match, Mike?
It was terrible. This was such a waste of talent. There's so many good wrestlers in this match, and any other way you could have done this. You could have the Riott Squad come out as challengers for the tag titles easily in this, right? And you still could have had Lana come out, be the sole survivor, just pin somebody, right? Terrible booking. I thought it was embarrassing. This was like, is this like a rib? What the hell is this that they're doing? I don't understand.
They just seem to so, I mean, going into this match, it was certainly Lana that received the most storyline out of anybody. And they just, for whatever reason, think this is a great way of promoting Lana as a babyface. And I'm totally with you, Mike. I think coming out of this, you know, they did some pretty good work here with Bianca Belair. I would say even Liv Morgan, even Peyton Royce, you know, with her eliminating Bayley, they did some good work with it. But the follow through at the end kind of makes a lot of that pretty moot, in that you don't really think about it afterwards. I think putting everything in here just to set up Lana in this storyline was a big waste of something that, you know, of people that could actually be title contenders. And Lana, I just don't know. I really don't know. What about you, WH?
I'll agree. Like, I thought the booking of this whole match was like terrible, but you know, some of the in-ring stuff I thought was really good. I thought the Riott Squad, like, constantly tagging in and out to go after Nia Jax, and like, I think Mike's completely correct. Like, they could have easily set them up as being the next challenger for the tag team titles, and that was just wasted. And Bianca Belair looked amazing at the end of the match, but the booking itself was just really weird and really stupid, because I don't follow what's happening with Lana. So, like, you know, seeing that video package of her constantly getting like run through the tables by Nia Jax, I just keep thinking, is this punishment for Rusev leaving and going to AEW? That's my initial thought. I don't know what the actual rationale behind all this stuff is with her and Nia Jax is, but you know, like, you know, it's just like the end. It's like, well, you just invalidated the last 18 minutes of this match, you know, leading up to this Lana win. And it just kind of throws everyone under the bus, in my opinion. Even like Nia Jax, who was like made to look like a super monster in this match. But, you know, I don't know if you heard, like, I think Corey Graves had this really good line of something Peyton did. And then he said, oh, that's like a perfect 10 right there. Like a reference to her husband and something like that. But, you know, Peyton, I gotta say, she put on this single leg crab, and I thought this is more like a single leg jellyfish because it's so fucking weak. It looks terrible. Who trained her? Was it Lance Storm?
It was, yeah. That's why she did.
I hope he called her and said, Peyton, just you know, lock it in better before you ever use any of my moves. That's all.
Didn't they make a comment that it was, you could only learn that move north of the border?
Yes, he did. They did.
And I mean, they brought attention to it that she didn't get it on right. And that whenever Natalya did that, was it like almost like a surfboard attempt that she was going for?
Yeah,
and then Peyton popped out. Then she just like stomped on her like stiff, and then put the sharpshooter on her.
Yeah. And I got to make one note about Bayley's like new capri pants. I just want to say she wears them way better than Juice Robinson wears his capri pants.
All right. I didn't realize they were even wearing capri pants. Okay. Our main event, Drew McIntyre takes on Roman Reigns. It's a battle of the two champions. What did you guys think of the decision to do the Undertaker thing in the main event and not this?
I'm not surprised at all.
No, it kind of made sense with how it all ended. I mean, if that was in the middle of the show going on for, was it half an hour almost?
Yeah, it was pretty long.
From start to finish. I mean, those poor guys, if they had to go after that, it would have been a lot for those two guys, I think, to
I preferred it this way. Like, you know, get all the wrestling out of the way, and then, you know, the rest of it almost felt like a dark match type of segment, you know, or almost a completely different show. So we have Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. Drew again appears with the kilt and sword that Sheamus brought him on Monday. The start is very slow, I would say, between these two. Early on, Drew even injures a right hand. Roman controls him with chin locks and short elbows. It's a very slow controlling pace from Roman, who at this point is almost wrestling more like Randy Orton than his, you know, old babyface self. Drew finally fights back. Roman sets up a Superman punch. Drew meets him with the spinebuster for 2. Roman says, "You're always going to be number 2," as he receives a Glasgow kiss from McIntyre. Spear from Reigns is countered with a Future Shock DDT from Drew for 2. Drew sets up a Claymore, but instead eats a Superman punch. A spear from Roman is again countered with a rolling Kimura from McIntyre. So McIntyre just has repeated counters to the spear from Roman. On the floor, McIntyre runs at Reigns, who catches him with the Samoan drop on the announce table. It doesn't break the first time, so he just does it one more time, and it breaks the second time. Back in the ring, another spear through a barricade. Roman spears Drew through a barricade, and then back in the ring, Drew kicks out at 2. Drew goes for a Claymore, but Reigns counters with the spear. Drew kicks out again. Roman looks at Joe and says, Samoa Joe, that is, and says, you've seen this before. He prepares another spear, but this time it's again met with a claymore, sending Roman to the referee, who falls to the outside. Jey Uso at this point runs in. Drew sends him back out. Roman hits a low blow. Jey hits a super kick. Roman then hits a Superman punch, and then a guillotine. With the new referee back into the ring, Drew McIntyre passes out as Roman Reigns wins. Roman Reigns wins at 24 minutes and 50 seconds. What do you think of the match, WH?
Yeah, I thought the last half of it was pretty good, but everything before that was kind of dull because Drew McIntyre is dull as shit. And this is the first time I've seen this new kilt and sword gimmick, and I was howling. It's so fucking stupid. What the fuck is he doing? He's inserting it into the stage. Is he unlocking the power of Grayskull or something? I don't know what the fuck he's doing. It's like it's the opposite of Excalibur, where you draw Excalibur out of the stone to become the King of England. He's inserting it to become like the number 2 guy in the WWE after Roman, because that's exactly what he is. He's number 2. Roman is the top guy in that company, as rightfully he should be. And Drew is just a sad number 2 who just bores me to tears. He's the new Randy Orton. Like I find Randy Orton to be completely dull, and I find Drew McIntyre to can be completely dull. Even this new sword gimmick, it makes me laugh. But
I hate to call it a real gimmick. I mean, it's certainly him coming out with it, but it's also long-term build for the Sheamus storyline, because that's how he won the title supposedly on Monday, was with this added motivation of like his family kilt and family sword that Sheamus imported all the way from Scotland on Monday. So I think that's why they're doing it. Now, is there any? But
wait, Sheamus is Irish, right?
Sheamus is Irish, yeah, but I mean they know each other. I guess they know people.
Wouldn't it make sense to get another Scottish wrestler to do this storyline with him?
Well, like who?
No, they know each other's mother or something, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know, but it's like, why would the Irish guy know people in Scotland? I don't know.
I'm sure that happens. I'm sure that's not that unusual. But the idea is that they used to tag team together. Like that's what they're trying to convey in the story. Is that like they used to be in the same scene. And I think to like a casual North American fan, it's like it's all the same. Like or at least it's similar enough that like they could get away with it. Mike, what do you think of the match?
I thought the match was decent. It went a little long. I liked how they measured themselves at the beginning. The finish was good to try and get out of it, right? And making something set up for later on, whenever that day is.
Yeah.
The sword is dumb. The gauntlets are dumb. I hate to break it to you. Sorry.
Hey, I'm not going to say it's the best thing ever, okay? It's not incredible, but I like it. I like the fact that it's leading up to the Sheamus thing, It's simply, to me, a reminder of that. I thought the match was, definitely lived up to the hype of a big match, but I found it very slow starting, and, depending on your interest and hype in this match, I think that'll... your interest will vary. For me, it got a little too boring. The Randy Orton type of boring, which isn't always a good thing. I will say I thought I was very pleased by the fact that they actually gave us a finish for this one, despite, of course, it was a heel cheating to win, but it was a pinfall on Drew McIntyre nonetheless, which I thought was, somewhat bold of them actually to do. But of course, this might also set up the stage for some future revenge from Drew McIntyre against Roman Reigns. They also did not resort at all to the Miz and the Money in the Bank cash-in, which I was also pretty happy to see. So after the match, Jey meets Roman back up at the top of the ramp. Roman gives him a big hug and then welcomes him back to the family. Finally, our real main event, is The Undertaker's farewell. This was well past the 3-hour mark of the pay-per-view. We start off here with Mike Rome introducing a bunch of people. Shane McMahon's here. The Big Show is here. JBL, Jeff Hardy, who comes out with the Taker logo painted on his face, Mick Foley, and then the members of BSK, the Bone Street crew, which Cole actually identifies them by. We have the Godfather. We have both members of the Godwins, including a brand new Godwins Titantron. Savio Vega's here. Rikishi is here. And then we have more legends, and Kevin Nash, Booker T, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and finally, the mayor of Knox County himself, Kane, in full Kane gear. They play a video music showing highlights of his career set to Now That We're Dead by Metallica, featuring a number of clips from other legends speaking about him, including John Cena, Austin, Shawn, and Triple H. We're back in the ring, and for some reason, like, I thought in my head, like, all these legends were all going to say something about Taker. Like, this was some sort of, like, this is your life type of thing. But the legends are all gone all of a sudden at this point. And instead, it's Vince McMahon who is alone in the ring. Vince says after 30 years, after all the injuries he's endured while entertaining this global audience from the WWF to now the WWE, tonight marks the end of a storied career that will never be duplicated. They say nothing will last forever, but the legacy of The Undertaker will live on eternally, as Vince introduces the dead man, the phenom, The Undertaker. Lights go out, his logo appears on the screen with electric bolts running through it, and then we get this, like, chiptune remix of the
It's Undertaker. Like Super Nintendo theme.
Yeah. I think it was supposed to represent, like, the way electricity sounds. Like, it sounded buzzy. Was that the idea?
It sounded like they had a few times where there's a little bit of technical difficulties in this entrance, I thought. But yeah, it was interesting.
So Taker comes out. He's in full gear, of course, and this is a full entrance. They've even got fire shooting up through the stands in the Thunderdome. He stands at the steps as he levitates up on the apron on some sort of platform, which I thought looked kind of cool. We hear the canned chants of Undertaker, along with the rest of this artificial crowd noise. Taker grabs the mic and he says, "For 30 years, I've made that slow walk to this ring and have laid people to rest time and time again, and now my time has come." They pipe in more "Thank You, Taker" chants. And Taker's last words of his storied career are, "My time has come to let The Undertaker rest in peace." And as he says peace, they try to match it with, like, canned audio of the crowd also yelling peace. But for some reason, like, I don't know if, like, dude hit it twice, but, like, it says, like, it's like the crowd's like peace, and then it just cuts off. Like, so I don't know what happened there. It was super weird. Taker does his pose as a hologram of Paul Bearer appears holding an urn on the Titantron. Taker then stands in the ring with the spotlight as the gong sounds 10 times. And then he does a slow walk back up the ramp, lifts his fist up for a big pyro display. And that's it. So, unfortunately, no other speeches from anybody else who made appearances. All the speeches, I suppose, took place in private last night at the hotel bar. And instead, we just had Vince McMahon and then Taker basically cutting a Taker promo. So, Mike, what'd you think of that?
The way it was set up, when everybody came out and no one said anything, not only did it take forever, but when everyone was gone, I thought for sure this is an angle. They're setting this up for an angle. Like, we haven't seen Bray tonight. What's going on? Nope. All in character, all kayfabe. That was it. I was disappointed.
Mike? Or WH, I mean?
Well, like, all the legends coming out, like, before Undertaker comes out, before Vince McMahon comes out, it's like the anti-Chekhov's gun, like the whole notion that you have a gun in a play. That gun's going to be, factoring into the story later on. Okay, I thought they're going to do something with these guys. Why drag them all out down from the back into the ring? And they did nothing with them. And I was just like, why did we just waste 15 minutes on these entrances and there's nothing to it? And then the Undertaker just comes out, and I suppose the highlight was really the video package. It's always nice to see someone's career, 30 years too. It's pretty impressive. But at the end of the day, I was just like, God, when's this going to be over? Because I was just bored out of my mind. I'm not a huge Undertaker fan. There are points of his career that I like a lot, but I've never been someone who's been a super fan of the Undertaker. Thought, oh my God, he's such a legend. He's the epitome of what I love about the WWF, WWE. He's never been that for me. So for me, I was just waiting for this to be over, to be honest with you.
Part of me really wonders what the, because we've seen them do these sort of farewell, this is your life type of retirement things. And some of them we have taken place in the dark segments. Sometimes they've taken place in live segments, and they would typically have people coming out to speak. Most recently they did the Triple H, what is it, 30 years? Was that what that was, or 25 years? Triple H celebration. And I mean, even for that, they had people give speeches. You know, they had Road Dogg and Vince even. Here, it was like, I imagine they might have kind of struggled with the idea of how do we have genuine speeches from people talking about this guy when we have somebody who plays such a cartoonish character. You know, like, how do you go from Phineas Godwin talking about, hey, remember all those times on the road we had? Oh man, you're so great, to supposedly a zombie coming out to say goodbye in character. I wonder if there's anything there, and if so, I feel like there would have been a better way of doing it. I mean, like, even in the video package, you had Austin, you had Taker. There were, you know, even like Vince saying like what he said. I think for me, the appeal of these sort of like, you know, goodbye segment is genuine emotion. You know, genuine emotion from people who truly knew this guy for years, for all the people that spent so much time with The Undertaker. And you had all the setup here of guys like Shawn or Triple H or whoever just being able to like say out loud their final words to this person, at least on screen. And we didn't get any of it. And instead, we didn't even really get a heartfelt message from The Undertaker. Yes, it's the character. I don't know how you would have been able to kind of manage to have Mark Calloway speak as well as, you know, having the character say goodbye. But by the end, I just felt like it felt very scripted, understandably so, because it's a scripted character, but not satisfying enough on sort of like that authenticity level.
You're exactly right. I mean, we've had Mark Calloway speaking on the Austin podcast. We've had Mark Calloway all over, but he's been on it before. We've had Mark Calloway all over like social media these days, right? Like he's Mark Calloway now. This is what we know. He's kind of stepped back and taken away the mystique. And The Last Ride, I mean, that was a big hit. I'm sure tons of people watched that show, right? I mean, the one guy that kind of never broke kayfabe has been breaking kayfabe for the last at least year solid, right? And you gave it away for free. Like, if this is really the last time that Mark Calloway is going to be The Undertaker and he walks down that ramp and you got that big entrance, you know, people love that entrance. And people would pay to see it one more time in 6 months or in a year, you know, when we've got vaccines, let's say, when we got big crowds again for events. They would sell tickets. They would sell merch. This was like, you could have even used this on Raw to pop a rating if you wanted to, I think. But to do it here, I know it's the date. A business decision, though, it seems like it was a waste.
WH, you think we've seen the last of The Undertaker?
No, I don't think so. I think you still have the Hall of Fame for this guy. I think, you know, like to Mike's point, I think, you know, if people want to see that entrance live, they're going to see it. They're going to see it at the Hall of Fame ceremony when they have people allowed to come back into arenas. They're definitely going to have it, you know, at WrestleMania. Like when they, you know, when he goes into the Hall of Fame, they'll have the separate HOF ceremony, and then they'll have him coming out to WrestleMania to say goodbye in front of a crowd. You know, why they did this now, I agree with Mike. I don't know why. It seems like a complete waste of, you know, time and energy to have it in front of the Thunderdome. There's no one in the crowd. Like, they piped in like chants, "Thank you, Taker." It came off really cheesy, I thought, and because it's very inauthentic, it's very unorganic, and it just kind of plays up the artifice of both like the current WWE product, and I suppose it's kind of symbolic of like the Undertaker himself. Like, yeah, he's a zombie mortician, but he later became a biker guy, and then he became a more, you know, zombie again, and who shoots lightning out of his fingers. I suppose that's, if anything, the Undertaker is kind of like the epitome of the kind of like what kind of product the WWE has put on for the last 30 years as well.
I feel like they certainly would have felt pressure to do something for this like 30th anniversary thing, right? For the Undertaker, just as a way to hook people to try to order this pay-per-view. And, you know, at this point, like, the best you could really come up with is this, you know, quote unquote farewell. But in the end, I think all the people that are skeptical are absolutely right to be, because honestly, it doesn't mean shit. Like, the next time they need him for Saudi Arabia, I definitely think they'll reconsider. That entrance you're going to get, like time and time again. You know, they claim that he'll never wrestle again, but he'll probably come out to do this entrance again for some reason. Certainly, like you guys mentioned, for the Hall of Fame, maybe for some other things too. So I personally don't really see this as much more than like sort of an excuse to pop a pay-per-view, I guess, network buy, and also maybe as an excuse for Taker and his friends to have a party the night before at the hotel room, which looked like a lot of fun, judging by some of these photos. All right, at this point, we want to hear from all of you guys in the Zoom chat room. So if you have any thoughts, if you want to speak to Mike and WH for any other reason, please raise your hand up right now. We will get to your phone call. Before we do that, though, we go to the forum to see what you guys thought about Survivor Series. Out of 10, the forum gave this show a 5.79. What are your ratings, Mike and WH?
I'll give it a 4.5.
Mike?
I'm going to give it a 6.5. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Some of the matches were pretty decent, I think.
I go 6.5 as well. Hansi, you are first on the line. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? What's up, Mike? And WH is the first time I've been able to talk to you, so it's an honor, sir. No, I thought the pay-per-view was I thought it was fairly good. I didn't really like the women and men's match, and like there's people on Twitter like going like, well, how would you have booked it? How could you keep people strong? It's like when Asuka was a sole survivor like a couple of years ago, we didn't question like, oh, everyone on the team that she beat didn't look strong or anything like that. So I just don't get why they would do that. I just thought it was an easy way to get Bianca more over and kind of build her up. And then you could have just had her and Bayley kind of like, you know, like be the two last survivors while they tease a feud. But with the Drew and Roman Reigns, that's probably one of the better matches during this pandemic era. I do want to see that match again. This is how people think that this match was the first time we saw it. I totally forgot that this match happened at a WrestleMania already. And that's how forgettable that match was with the characters and all that. This time it was like way better. I thought the intensity was awesome. And
you know, like Hansi, just to that point, I think I mean I definitely don't even think about it that much that these two have already had that, you know, rivalry before too, but I think it just goes to show how reinvented both of them are at this point, you know, and what reinvention does for characters, because they just completely breathe new life into perhaps a match to the point where you don't even remember their first match.
No, exactly. That's why initially when they said it was going to be Randy Orton and Roman Reigns, I was curious to where that was going to go, because they're both different characters, even though, like, WA said it before, like, Orton's kind of been boring, but I think this year Orton has kind of upped his game. You know, he's become much more interesting, but I thought it was a good choice between Reigns and Drew. I'll say this with the Undertaker thing before I go. The only thing that I was actually really happy about, because I didn't really care, because I know it's not going to be Undertaker's last farewell or anything like that. I was happy to see Savio Vega and the Godwins again. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you. Guys, great show, by the way.
Thank you, Hansi, as always.
Thanks, man.
We go back to the forums now. Let's go to Jesse from Montreal, who has some feedback. He says, Banks versus Asuka was the highlight for me, but I was pleasantly surprised by the 5-on-5 matches. I thought they told coherent stories. I don't watch main roster TV, so it's been a long time since I've seen Peyton Royce, and I think she's improved considerably. Roman's matches with Jay were great because they were more focused on acting than wrestling. I thought that style failed tonight. I thought Roman versus McIntyre was ploddingly slow. The ending segment was stupid. There aren't any fans here. What's the point? What was the point of flying in all those old wrestlers? They didn't do anything. Vince needs to stop dyeing his hair and also plucking his eyebrows. Ultimately, I felt no goosebumps nor nostalgia. Undertaker's Blue Lives Matter, White Power, Biker Gang, enfeebled, rickety ass should have pieced out a long time ago. Wow. Take care.
Yeah, Jesse, my man.
We got a Muggin up next who says, it's been a long time since I've seen a Survivor Series elimination match have a team pitch a shout-out. It was decent. Keith Lee getting a new theme and his own lyrics is a massive upgrade. New Day and Profits was tag team black excellence. Montez Ford in particular was tremendous as the babyface in peril, and it was refreshing to see Kofi and Woods lean heel in this match. So, unsurprisingly, Sasha and Asuka had another terrific match in their catalog. The Women's Survivor Series elimination match was messy. Lana not working a single second in the match to win via double countout was perplexing. Roman and Drew took a while to get going, and when it did, it took off with authority. Undertaker making a walk one final time was moving. It was a hell of a run that spanned 3 decades, and I love the hologram of Paul Bearer. It was a nice touch to the swan song, despite having zero audience, hurting the atmosphere. Finally, we got a Paul who says, thing is, even with the crowd there, the actual send-off, I don't think, would be much different. Taker wouldn't have broken character, and maybe his friends would be outside of the ring, but he wouldn't be celebrating on camera. But at the same time, potentially seeing real fans in the building crying would have made all the difference. As we are about to get out of here, I want to thank everybody for joining us live in the chat room. We go to one more phone call from Brandon in New Jersey. Brandon, if you can figure out how to unmute yourself for the 50th time.
It's an honor and a privilege to Movember's own Mike Murray and WH. Mike, what's going on? Nice jersey, man.
You should see WH's mustache. It's pretty impressive.
Incredible. Yes, the show is a show that I.
Did you actually watch it?
I caught the Roman match, and it was all right. I mean, people bigged it up like it was going to be this epic battle of the two champions, and I watched some of it, and I woke up and it was over, and I saw a Paul Bearer hologram.
Brandon, was it as good as like Bob Sapp in fucking Wrestle Circus or what?
Nah, man, that Bob Sapp run-in last night was incredible for Fight Circus Part 2, setting up for Part 3. He really busted a nut on John Nutt last night with that left and the right combo.
Can you explain this? What's up with this? What is this Fight Circus thing?
It's a hybrid MMA / comedy show in Thailand, and run by.
Did you say MMA comedy show?
Yeah, essentially, and it was just they have wacky like types of fights. Like I guess they had this regular guy who makes kebabs in Thailand versus two brothers named. The two brothers lost.
Sounds like the MMA version of GCW.
So wait, some guy that makes kebabs beat two brothers. Is that what you're telling me? I see Eric's on here. Eric's got to explain this to me.
So, but I didn't know it was. I thought it was on next weekend after Thanksgiving, but apparently it was on last night during they went up against the UFC, which is incredible. But and it might have been the better show actually.
You might have remembered the date of Fight Circus if you and Mike weren't like waxing poetically about your fucking jersey collections.
It's Captain Giggles himself here. I love it.
Yeah, but I thought tonight's show was a show, right? I wasn't the lone survivor.
Okay.
Well, you might be now.
Well, Brandon, what are you going to do? Toronto's going into a second lockdown. What are your plans? Does this interrupt what, you can't go to the mall anymore, the Dufferin Mall or anything like that?
Go to Yorkdale.
Is Yorkdale?
Well,
you have to go to the York region, I guess.
Outside of Ontario, you can go and do your thing. It's not a total lockdown out there, but eventually it will, right?
I think Nunavut's still open.
Might be too cold for my liking. But yeah, that's all I got. I love you guys. Around the corner,
All right.
But,
Okay.
I love you guys. I'm out of here.
We appreciate you as always, Brandon. Glad we can get your voice on with this wonderful roster we have joining us. And I want to thank Mike Murray and of course WH Park for all of your tireless efforts in watching the show and then talking about it for another hour and a half with me. I know you guys kind of alluded to it, but like, what else? What are you guys gonna do like next week?
What are we gonna do next week for work? You mean?
Yeah,
or just for like shits and giggles? We're
in life.
Yeah, I'm still doing rehab. Still doing physio.
Yes. How's that going,
right?
by the way?
It's doing okay. I've eased back into work, right, just in time for the lockdown or lockdown. We're gonna try and get the store, kind of just keep people working who want to work. Help anyone that we can. Try and fill out those Christmas wish lists, right? It was packed. You know what? We both were there yesterday, and there was like a lineup like all day to get in on Saturday, right, from 11:30 to 6:30.
So for people unaware, Mike runs a bookstore in the city called BMV Books, and right now, I guess a store like yours has to shut down or really just kind of rely on curbside pickup. So if people perhaps wanted to buy a book for somebody on a Christmas, where would they be able to find all that information?
You can check us out on Twitter or Instagram at BMV Books Annex. We'll have any shots of photos of what you're looking for. You can message us. It'll have a direct line for shooting us an email if you're looking for something. Other than that, it's going to be in person. I mean, we're still pretty 20th century there. We don't really have an online presence for selling stuff from the store, no.
It is nonetheless my favorite bookstore in the city, the best bookstore in Toronto, and you might even see WH Park there from time to time. So where can people find you, WH?
Well, they can find me at postwrestling.com. I have Post Perez coming up. I do have John's not going to be joining me on the next Post Perez for December, but I have a guest lined up. We'll announce that when the time is right. Also, this week, I'm actually going to be recording the new Long and Winding Road. I don't want to announce the guest, who it is, or what the match we're going to talk about, but that's going to happen this week, and then we'll release that for December as well. And so I got, Post Perez and the Long and Winding Road keep me busy. Got all this wrestling from Japan to watch. I got to do a lot of catch up way. So kind of the lockdown's not so bad for me. But I'll be going into work some time. I'm going to be contacting Mike right after we're done here and saying, hey, what days am I working? But other than that, at WH Park 9, if you want all my hot takes about capri pants and the cycling shorts of Tomohiro Ishii.
At WH Park 9, at Scarborough Dad for Mike Murray, I'm at Way0937. So tomorrow, I will be joined for Rewind to Raw to talk about all the fallout from Survivor Series with Nate Milton himself. He'll be joining me as well. On Wednesday, I'll be rejoined by Bruce Lord, and on Friday, John Cena, as we give one more week's break to John Pollock as he enjoys the wonders of being a brand new girl dad. So send your well wishes to him. In fact, you will be hearing from John Pollock this Tuesday on our latest edition of Rewind Away. We'll be talking about ECW Anarchy Rules. That, of course, is a pre-tape that we did before everything last week. So if you want to get your feedback in there, though, you could do that right now in the forum, and I'll probably read it and upload it and include it in the show at some point. But for those really missing John, you get a brand new John Pollock show this coming Tuesday on the Cafe feed. So thank you for joining me, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.